lights out. Hi, I'm Ray Mancini. Welcome to another round of Ray's Boom Boom Room. I'm here with a special guest today, who I'll get to in a second. But I'm here with my ace corner man, cut man, Mike Case. Don't do the wave. And
Not doing it. Not doing it.
Tommy.
I should do a little wave. I like the little wave there, but no,
said,
nobody likes it.
Right. See, nobody
We don't do that.
No.
Nobody's a
Not
corner,
your
nobody's a
neighborhood.
corner man to do that.
No.
See, so,
Anyway.
but welcome back for another round. Was it 2 weeks ago or was it last week?
2 weeks.
2 weeks ago. Okay, so I was there last week. Okay, see, ladies and gentlemen, you got to forgive me. I just took the red eye back. I flew in this morning. I've had about 2 hours sleep, and I'm delirious. And so I can't remember if it was last week or 2 weeks ago when we're here. Anyhow, two things we're going to get to before we got to talk to our special guest. Yesterday, I was in California. I was in Vegas this past weekend, which we're going to talk about the fight. But I went to a very special thing yesterday. They had the memorial service for Tyler Skaggs, the pitcher of the Angels, who was one of my son's dearest and closest friends. And as you can see, I got Skaggs 45, Tyler Skaggs 45, in our hearts forever. And it was very emotional and very touching. And the church where my kids were baptized in, and or first communion, and I hadn't been back there in a while. It's funny because the Father Torgensen, who was the lead priest, Ray,
Where you been?
we went.
We missed your
I
envelope.
always tell a story.
Where's your envelope?
When our kids, with my kids, we sat back with Arnold and Maria and their kids. And we all have it because they were all smart,
Wow.
And so my daughter and our Catherine, who just married Chris Pratt, made a first communion together, and then my son Leonardo and their.
You've got quite the parish over there,
So
isn't
it
it?
was. Oh yeah, it was.
You have velvet ropes around you
You
guys?
used to
so
go.
nobody
You see Chris Farley. I used to see Chris Farley used to be in there
At church?
Yeah,
Wow.
and once in a while when he was there,
good to know that.
Yeah, it was like a lot of these people that. Yeah, it was a good.
What's
church.
the name of the church?
St. Monica's.
Okay.
St. Monica's Church in Santa Monica, and
sense.
so they had the. Excuse me, and who got there? Somebody got married. I forgot who got married there originally. And so it's one of them churches that's a celebrity church, so to speak.
I guess so.
Yes, and my kids always.
What's the mass
and
that
my
everybody goes to? I like to.
11 o'clock.
Okay.
Or 10 o'clock.
10?
No, 11. I'm sorry, 11.
11 o'clock.
And my son always used to remind me, Pop, you're the poorest celebrity here. Dude, little
Thanks,
kids.
son.
Yeah. I think
Well, it's hard to hang with Arnold.
I don't say that.
You got more
That's
money
good.
than everybody.
So, very special ceremony, special memorial service, and they had it yesterday because the Angels were off.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of guys, and I'll tell you, it's a credit to this young man. A lot of the players, Ryan Braun, other guys came in.
Flew in.
Patrick Corbin
Yeah.
for the Washington Nationals, who I was talking to last night. What a sweet guy, really. Came in. A lot of guys came in on the off day, or the day they're playing. Ron, I guess I'm assuming Milwaukee was playing, but Ryan Braun came because they were workout partners. And but it was there, and you see the players, Mike Trout, and I looked at him and I just said, he looks like a linebacker. If you said, what sport? You said middle linebacker. I mean, thick.
Doesn't look like the baseball players
No,
from when we
no.
were growing up. Does it?
And
Oh,
right,
no.
no,
Totally different
No,
bodies.
Mike, totally different body.
Same with golfer. I mean,
say
they're all
golf has
evolving.
changed.
Basketball
Right.
players, they're all evolving.
Yes. And Tommy, they were telling me, I mean, you see this kid, you go, but then you hear about he was a 3-sport star out of Jersey, which you could believe, quarterback, football quarterback. He could dunk a basketball. Well, you could see his leg. Yeah, I get it. It's just, all the players, and it was very emotional. They're coming in, and they had guys, first of all, beautiful, beautiful mass. Just a touching tribute. The church was filled, and then at the end, and Father Torgensen talked about how that was Tyler's parish, and talked about his mother Debbie and his father Daryl and stepfather Dan, and he was just one of the kindest kids, humble kid, and then they had the people come up to give tributes. Now I don't mean to disrespect, I really don't. But I said, 16 tributes.
It's a lot of tributes.
Then you go aunt,
at the church?
aunt, cousin at the church.
Okay.
In the church. Grandmother, wife's grandma. I'm thinking, oh, man, I hope they just, I hope they give a time limit. Not because I'm not, because you
No.
got 16 people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got
I know the
hundreds,
mass was
hundreds of people. in there.
beautiful mass, and so, and Father Torgensen gave a touching, wonderful sermon, so it was almost an hour long. Anyway, now you get the people, and then Auntie, someone started talking about my Tyler, and it was a beautiful. She was, I don't mean no disrespect, please.
Did her best.
It was she did. She was wonderful, but going on, everyone's coming on, and then finally the players come on to players, and they told, and everyone's laughing. That's what you want to hear, the stories, and they were quick, and everyone talks about my son used to say, because I get it, because I remember Tyler visit, but Tyler, they used to argue he was a big Lakers fan, and one kid said, I think it was Garrett Anderson, who pitcher with them, Garrett Anderson.
I don't know.
Garrett
Anderson?
Garrett.
Oh, he was a great outfielder.
Is he outfielder?
Yeah.
Okay, they
for
were
the
friends.
Angels.
Yes, for the Angels. Okay,
Okay.
so Garrett, I thought it was a pitcher. Garrett Anderson was telling stories when they were, and they'd argue because wherever he's from, I think things from. He's back east, with city back east.
Okay.
He said that, they'd argue about teams, their team, and at the end he said the last thing, and even knew Tyler, you'd get it. He was a. He said last thing, as Tyler would say, banners. I mean, that's what it's
the
all
end of the
about.
argument, isn't
The
it?
end of the argument, banners.
Yeah. Okay.
And I will laugh because that's Tyler. If you knew the kid, and he was, and and when they were him and my sons, and they had a tribute for him later. They had a tribute up there, and then my sons were a lot of a picture. All the boys that they hung out with, and then Ray, my youngest, it was very, very moving, and he was known for doing the Millie Walk, and I said, I know the dance, but what's the Millie? And then all the guys started showing me.
started
Oh
doing
yeah,
it?
that's the dance. There it is, the Millie Walk. So he was known for doing the Millie Walk, and that was the thing. But then his nutritionist came up, was telling a story, and when he first met Tyler, well, give me your diet. Well, for breakfast I go to McDonald's. He said lunch I go to Taco Bell, and at dinner I'm at the In-N-Out Burger. And he was that's his. And he said, "No, we got to change it, because Tyler was 6'4", but he was about $170." You look at one guy said, whatever player said, he looked like a broomstick with a hat, and when he was out there, it was just kind of funny, which he did. And then of course they changed his diet, and he filled up. And it was just a wonderful tribute, and all the players, I see the players there to show so much love and support, and very, very moving, and he was so beloved, and so it was a wonderful tribute. And I flew in this morning, I took the red out last night, and
How did your family do? Because before you said they weren't taking it.
no,
all that
my
well.
son was one of his.
Especially
my
your
son
son.
was one of
Yeah.
his dear son. I mean, they were,
Did they
and
do
a lot
okay?
of pictures up there. Well, my son did, but it was very touching.
It's been a couple of weeks.
And I got to, I broke, I was asked, well, Pop, why were you so emotional? My daughter asked me because she was next to me, and I said, because I guess somewhere, you start thinking about your own kids.
Of course.
I remember when they were kids, my kids. Then I think of my wife's kids, and then you just think of all the kids that they hung out with and grew up.
Yeah.
And it just broke, man. It killed me. I couldn't. And I was uncontrollable. I was uncontrollable, and I couldn't control it. And I just, because I remember the kid, who he was, how he was, and when they're telling the stories, and then it just hit me. It just hit me, man. And it's just really, it was something, man. It was something. And the kid that's a great kid. And so afterwards, you go outside. Then they had In-N-Out Burger truck.
Oh.
And they had taco truck, tacos por favor, or whatever it was, the two favorite things. And it was something, man. It was something. And they all had, it was a meeting room, and you see the players stuff, but you can't, like before, and you want to go over and say, hey, man, like my try. He looked at me, I looked at him, he don't know, he's too young, but
Sure.
But you want to go and say, man, I really enjoy your work. But that's saying, like you said, it wasn't appropriate. It wasn't the place to be a fanboy. So I didn't, but they would just showed a lot of great love and respect for Tyler. And it was just, it's wonderful. 3 weeks ago yesterday. It was only 3
And we
weeks.
still don't know how he died, right?
No, they still haven't, haven't come out. And at this point probably do, but the family don't want it released.
Right.
So, not just so that's not, just so that people know, it's not a scandal or anything. Tyler was not he was a straight-laced kid. He wasn't any type of bad kid, wasn't drinking, wasn't drug user or anything like that. Straight, but I just think the family, for out of respect, and maybe out of respect for the Angels, the organization too, they don't want it released now.
Right.
But eventually, from a friend of mine who works for the MLB, says, well, they'll have to MLB will have to release it eventually.
Well, I'm sure every news outlet out there wants to know. They're in the top 2 markets in the country,
right,
so
exactly.
it'll come out.
Yeah, and plus it's funny because there's the TV cameras there. So I think Fox was there yesterday, and taking all players in, but going in, and so some of the TMZ I think was there. So anyhow, and it was a wonderful tribute, wonderful thing, tribute for him, and way to say goodbye. And when I told my son afterwards, we were at his wife. They got married in December.
Oh yeah, I know.
Just 7 months. They were getting ready to buy the house in the neighborhood, in a beautiful part of Santa Monica, and her family had, so everyone went over there, and it was wonderful. Then you sit around and you start reminiscing, you laughing and tell the stories. Yeah, that's Skaggs. Yeah. And I told my son when I told you when it happened, Tommy, I went to New York, and my son, and because I'm the one that I call him Tom, and when I went to New York with him, because the next day, he said, Pop, please, can you come? So I flew the next morning, which was a Tuesday, and 3 weeks ago today. And I went to New York to see him, and he held me, and he just cried, and I said, so I tried to tell him, I said, how did you get past it with Uncle Lenny, my brother? And I told him, I said, you see people, you cry together, you grieve together, you mourn together, and then when the service is over, you'll sit around, you start talking, you'll laugh, and then you start celebrating together. You celebrate his life, and that's when the healing process starts. And I think yesterday it was great for everybody, and I was so happy I was with him because that started. Telling stories about, oh, that's Skaggs, and the things he'd say and the things he'd do, because he had these sayings, every time. And I said, oh man, I remember actually hearing a few members say, oh yeah, and he was just a wonderful young man. And remember that song by Bill Joel, "Only Good Die Young"? And you say, there's something to that, man. There's got to be something to that, because there's too many wonderful, beautiful souls that left us way before their time.
Yeah, it's unfair.
Yeah, so
it is unfair.
Anyhow.
All right. Before that,
before that, I was there this weekend, Saturday night, doing commentary in the booth.
There was the pay-per-view
fight.
Yeah.
Manny Pacquiao, Keith Thurman. Pac-Man just constantly defies the odds
split decision, right?
It was no split. He beat him in the match. He beat him like he owned him. I mean, from top to bottom.
Okay.
And I'm just, it was a
Well, does that bother you then? It was a split decision.
Yeah, Glenn Feldman, who gave it to Keith Thurman, he's delusional at best. Come on, man. No, stop. These judges. Then Glenn Feldman's been a judge for a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a little too long. Stop. It wasn't, to Keith's credit, fought his heart out.
Yeah.
They make no excuses. Complete pro at the end of the fight. Said, yes, he beat me fair and square. I have no. He was a better man tonight. Maybe I should have more fights. Remember, I said before he left, this ain't the guy you want after your second fight in 2 years. This ain't the guy.
No.
Yeah.
But Keith talked it up. Sold well. Our executives at Fox were very happy. After the fight, we all went back to the hotel at the bar, celebrating and drinking and talking and just celebrating and talking about upcoming events. So I got to finally meet the pecking order of who my bosses are.
Yeah.
I know who my initial bosses are, but I didn't know from the pecking order down, and met them. And nice thing to know they're fans. That's a great thing, and they like what I'm doing. So. I appreciate that. And they announced the next pay-per-view, September 28th, at the Staples Center. Errol Spence and Sean Porter will be fighting. Now we're going to unify the titles. So they're going to fight. And then the fight before that will be Andre Durrell fighting Anthony Durrell. I'm sorry, not Andre's his brother. Anthony Durrell fighting David Benavidez. And the winner for unify their super middleweight titles. And the winner of that will fight Caleb Plant, who was the lead into the pay-per-view on Fox, not regular Fox channel, and he stopped Mike Lee from Chicago in the third round, I believe. Anyhow,
okay, we're getting it all full circle.
But the fight, I'm just saying, the Pacquiao fight was incredible. Man, he just did it, and you just
how
look
old is he?
40. He's 40 years old.
How the hell is he doing it?
I don't know. I'm truly being. He's a freak of nature. I said he's just one of these guys. He's humble as they come, and he still has a passion for it. That's the thing. Is forget that he has a passion for it.
Mm-hmm.
And only 8 division champions started up. Buck 18, I think. And we were 8 divisions.
Wow.
It's
amazing.
And he's not a big guy, but his legs. He gets power for his legs. Look like his calves are like, forget about it. They look like that commercial of the guy in the hat on a bike.
Right.
Who
Yeah, with the
manufactured
calves?
that.
Yeah.
That's what Manny's calves look like in real. His speed, he has unique. And I picked Manny to win.
Was he ever in trouble?
No. I mean, Keith hit him with some good shots. Keith got dropped the first round. Now, also, there's some Twitter trolls out there, just so I'll tell you. Said, oh, look at Mancini jump up, and, they had a picture of Deontay Wilder, like, you go blue. It was like the memes,
Yeah.
and you see me in the background jumping up and down. And it wasn't because it was Keith getting dropped. It was anybody getting dropped.
Yeah.
It's the fact that it happened in the first round. Manny came out and there, boom, and oh, and you
Sure.
jumping up and down. That's what I'm saying. So it wasn't anything about Keith. But Manny, I'd have been jumping up and down. It's just the fact that the fight started off that way. So anyhow, so Manny will fight the winner of Spence Thurman next year. We unify the titles, and then the winner of that will have to fight eventually Terrence Crawford if he's still there. So that looks like
We're all set.
And then we had the two champs. I did it with Deontay Wilder was my partner to this week. Really a good brother, man. Deontay's a
I
good
saw that
dude.
picture of you in between those two guys.
Between Deontay and Lennox.
That
Yeah, the Twin Towers.
how tall are they?
I mean, well, Lennox is 6'5" and Deontay's 6'7". And then when I ended, they said, "Ray, you want to meet?" I said, "Yeah." I walked over and I said, "Man, you are a tall brother." They just laughed. It's
That
just a
looked
good
like
guy.
it was a commercial for the United Way.
Yeah.
Or something. Like,
Yeah.
here's that kid
Yeah.
that came up to that guy's practice.
Yeah. I mean, it's just you look at Lennox is as
Jeez.
big as they come, and bigger than life, and Deontay is just a good guy, man. It was a lot of fun to do, and I'm a fan of his because the way he fights, he brings it. He ain't no champion. He brings it. He's looking to knock you out every time. Then they brought in Andy Ruiz, who's the other who knocked out Anthony Joshua recently. And we're with the same stable. We're all PBC fighters. Well, they, part of our stable. And just gentlemen to each other, they want to look forward to fight because they got to fight. Now Deontay's got to fight Luis Ortiz coming up. And Andy Ruiz is going to fight the rematch with Joshua. He'll beat Joshua again. He'll beat him again. It wasn't a fluke. He beat him because he has his number. He'll beat Joshua again. He'll beat him probably better and easier. Deontay will beat Luis Ortiz, and then they got to fight.
How many guys were picking Pacquiao?
You know what? 75% of the
So it wasn't like you went out on a limb at all.
No, 75%
No
picked
upset
Pacquiao. 75% picked Pacquiao to win.
And he was the favorite in
Yeah.
Vegas?
Betting favored.
Wow.
And then Keith started out being a favorite, and then a lot of money comes from
Then the
Far
money
East.
came.
Far East. But if it was you watched it. Manny defies the hands of time, and after we did the post show, and Chris Mayer says, "Yeah, right, Chris with his voice, I can't do him.
He's the best.
He is.
Why
He's
can't
the
we
best.
get him on this show?
Oh, we can.
I would
We
love
got-
to hang
but
out with Chris Myers.
You would. The funniest. The
would,
funniest.
yeah.
Yes. And he's at the funniest. We did jokes. Yeah, and every time I try to tell jokes, right, leave the jokes to me. And and he's funny.
He is funny. He used to
and
do funny jokes
he
on
does,
SportsCenter
he
all the
imitates
time.
Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
Oh,
really?
my God. Oh, is it funny? But Chris is
That's
just a
the guy I
wonderful
wanna
guy.
meet.
But after we did the post show, he said, this is like, Tiger Woods at 43 winning the Masters, like Tom Brady at 41. He said, Tom Brady at 41 winning another Super Bowl. Tiger Woods winning the Masters. I said, what, Tom? I said, you're going to compare Tiger Woods winning the Masters, a game that you could be playing when you're 40 or 80, you could still be playing, to this? This is so far heads above what Woods or Brady did. Brady's got 10 other guys. What he's to do is how he kept his body in the sport they're in. What Tom Brady has done is remarkable. There's no dispute. Remarkable. What Tiger Woods did is, greatest come back. I said, we've seen, a long time in that sport, in a long time. But Manny Pacquiao at 40 years old, winning his 8th world title against a young blood, undefeated fighter. You're trying to compare that? Please. Wow, Ray, I just met guys after, at 40 or older. I said, Tom, you can't. I mean, Chris, you can't. You can't. And everyone's laughing. Oh, God, Chris, stop. But that's what I said. To me, it was the most incredible thing I ever saw. A 40-year-old Manny Pacquiao knocking down and beating and manhandling a 30-year-old in his prime, Keith Thurman.
That's amazing.
It was crazy. So if anybody saw the fight, if you missed it, believe me, you missed out on something special. But Manny will be fighting early next year again. So,
She's going to keep going.
oh, yeah. Going to fight the winner of the Spence Porter which is going to be a terrific fight itself. I still think Manny's hoping for another fight with Mayweather, who was there.
Why not?
But you know, when you
One more payday,
because who
man.
wants to see it? Nobody wants to see it. I don't know if anybody wants to. I mean, Manny, it's for another couple more years. Manny's looking good. Floyd ain't fought, so I mean, except that they were McGregor. You know, I mean, it's just past this, way past this. It's not, as they say, let it marinate. It's overcooked. It's
stale.
It's stale.
It's been done.
All right. Anyhow,
Want to
let's
meet
move
our
on.
guest? Should we introduce him?
Introduce them first. Let me introduce our special guest, Tommy Krispinsky. The reason I call him Tommy is because I grew up in the same neighborhood as Tommy, on the south side of Youngstown. You know, Tom, I always tell people, we always say, if you ain't from the south side, you're from the outside. And so, but Tom grew up only a couple streets away from me. But I was younger, and him and his brother Stevie went to Woodrow Wilson, which the whole neighborhood went to Wilson. Only a few of us went to the other side, went to the other
Catholic
side,
school.
Catholic school, Progress School Mooney. But Tommy, like I said, I grew up knowing him, and he's a wonderful athlete, football, baseball. Then you remember they used to have the touch league. Tommy was
did?
a quarterback for Linhart Towing.
Linhart's Towing.
Linhart Towing, and they won the championship 3 or 4 years. You, Woody Booth.
Oh, yeah.
Larry,
Kasanga,
congratulations
Bobby
on
Larry
the touch
Kasanga.
football
Wait,
championship.
Larry
The
was
girls
with you guys.
play?
Oh, no girls.
Was Delbert with you guys?
Yeah, Delbert Jones. Yeah,
Delbert
Delbert
Jones.
Yeah.
And I always say,
Mike Safaldi,
Mike
Mike
Safaldi,
Pavlik.
that's it. You know, and I always, but you guys played against like other teams where Johnny Linden was a quarterback for another team.
Right. Yeah.
And then Dickie
Marlowe.
was for another team.
Teenies, yeah.
So those were 3 top guys. These are 3 top quarterbacks in the area. And you guys were like went to nationals and stuff. You guys?
Well, we never. The Nationals came in afterwards.
Oh,
but
after.
When the first 2 seasons that the league came in existence was '74, and our team nobody beat us for the first 2 years.
Yeah.
Then I had to start officiating, and I had to go to do parochial leagues, and that was when I gave up my touch football
you had to
for
give it
a
up?
year
Oh, okay.
to go do referee parochial league. And
Did you do St. Tom's?
Oh yeah.
You want to play for St. Tom's?
Well, I know I did you when you were at Mooney, like
Freshman year.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, freshman because that
he was playing against Boardman, and I had to break up a little
Shocking
sideline.
you got in a fight.
Boardman.
Yeah, I know.
Boardman, these Boardman people, man. Who'd you think? They want to be Mooney people, man. Stop.
Are
Yeah,
you
yeah.
saying
Boardman
they're
people.
envious of the Mooney people? Is that what you're saying? The Boardman people?
Boardman people.
Well,
Hey, but
there was an excitement on the sideline there, and Ray was a little bit involved. But
Wait, he wasn't on the team?
he was on the team.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, he was
Mike,
play. He was a
Mike,
player.
Mike,
yeah.
Mike.
Yeah, he was a player, man.
Uh-huh.
That's
I see it.
that's the photo.
That's where they got the-
That's my photo.
We got the trophy.
Ray
The
played all
trophy,
sports,
man.
Out of that, yeah.
He played sports. He played football, basketball, and baseball.
yeah.
When did you start reffing?
Well,
And why?
Well, let's put it this way.
Yeah,
I
that's what I
started
want to know because you were a hell of an athlete. His mom was a hell of an athlete. And I
Nobody
just-
likes the refs.
Well, it was a case where I started playing in my touch football in Youngstown State intramural league, and back then they decided to do away with the local officials and start using students. So a couple of my fraternity brothers and I started doing some refereeing at campus on intramural games, and then after football has been good to me, I thought. So after I was ready to graduate, I said, you know what, I'm either going to coach. And I was going to go up to watch little midgets with the Redmond. I went up to watch them practice at Woodrow Wilson High School, and they had these little kids, 8-year-old, running laps. Like I'm thinking, I never ran that many laps when I was in varsity.
That's right.
And I said, boy, I don't think I could do that. So I came into my fraternity house, and I told my buddy Johnny Vicaro was sitting on a couch. I go,
Vic was your.
Yeah.
Oh, Johnny's a great guy.
so yeah,
great
and
guy.
I come in. I says, I think I might want to become a football official. And Vic just jumped off the couch, and he goes, really, Ski? He called me Ski back then. And he goes, yeah, okay. Not knowing his dad, Mr. Vicaro,
was one of the top, right?
was the main guy.
Yeah, and Johnny was a referee for a long time, right?
Then we eventually took the test in 1975, and the rest was, I guess, a little bit of history. Myself and Johnny Vick and Joe Moranto and my good friend Larry Kasanga, all 4 of us took the test in Mr. Vick's area, and we
To be
passed.
what level?
Well, back then you just start with class 1, like the first level. You're doing JV games and
High school. Okay.
JVs and midget leagues and on. Then after 2 years, you took another test and you start doing the varsity games. So I took the test in '75. My first varsity high school game was in '78, and then eventually, but I heard a speaker back in the early '70s about setting goals when you start something. And when I took my test, I wrote a goal down. I wanted to become a MAC football official.
Mid-American Conference.
Mid-American football. And
Okay.
the reason why, there was a Dr. Larry Glass lived in our neighborhood over there.
Dr. Glass, yes.
By the baseball field, by
Yes.
Pemberton Park. So, I remember that, and I just circled that down. I wrote it down, and that was one of my back of my goals there. And so once we started, we doing high school games, and we had a great crew. Joe Morano was our referee. Johnny was the head linesman. Vince Julian, our umpire. Jimmy Visengardi, our line judge, and I was the back judge in high school. And so we start going through, and then with the idea, okay, how we can start college. And so I didn't start looking into college until like the mid-'80s.
How do you start?
Well, there's a process that there's an organization called the Ohio Athletic Conference, the Division IIIs, and they'll hire Division III officials. But there's a group that local college guys that we had a great, one thing about Youngstown, we're known for our football athletes, but we had a great group of football officials. Like there's Dick Creed was in the NFL, Bud Fiffick was in the NFL. Then in the college ranks, there was a Bob Walker in the Big Ten, Ted Humphreys in the Mid-American Conference, Dr. Larry Glass. Ted Humphreys.
And Fiffick, was he a doctor?
Yeah,
Dr.
he was
Fiffick?
foot doctor. Yeah,
Foot doctor.
podiatrist, yeah.
Hey, there we go.
And this isn't your full-time job.
No.
You're talking about doctors, people that have jobs already, and you were at what?
I was, more of my trade was being a school treasurer.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was that for Howland schools here, and before that, Springfield local schools. But most of that, though, that's how I eventually got myself going. So in the late 80s, I decided to start pursuing that. And every time, matter of fact, Johnny, Vicro, and Jimmy and I, all three of us decided to go approach that. And they kept on saying, you're too young. You're too young because if you go and mess up a call, your career might be over. So they kept on passing us up and kept on taking older guys and so on. And so eventually about 1991 as I did my first Division III football game, and it was down in Kenyon College. And then after that, I got into a crew into Ohio Athletic Conference, and not knowing the Ohio Athletic Conference, here we had Mount Union, one of the kings of
That's
Division
right when
III.
they got good, too.
Oh, yeah, they just started taking off right after that. So we did that. Then in 95 is when I got into the Mid-American Conference. And, like you said, once you get that call to say you're going to be into the Mid-American Conference, and, you hear the rumor that it's happening, but Dr. Glass confirmed it, almost like you got pinched saying, hey, I accomplished a dream that I wrote down.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then, so I was in the Mid-American for like 7 years. And then around Labor Day weekend, a gentleman that was helping his daughter move, and he was a Big Ten official, and he hurt his back. So I did Minnesota played Toledo that weekend. I do that game at Toledo. Toledo kicked the crap out of Minnesota, just killed them. Glenn Mason was the coach. I was on his sideline. And usually after the game's over, you just, say, hey, coach, good job, nice game. And I made that kind of comment. He goes, well, get the hell out of here. He goes, we stunk here, and what they did.
Right.
But still.
What year was that, Tommy, about?
That was probably 2001.
Okay, was Bruce Gronkowski the coach,
The quarterback? I think
Bruce is a friend of mine. I got to be friends.
really?
Gradkowski.
Gronkowski, yeah. It's all screwed up. Gronkowski, but Bruce.
He might have been a little bit later.
Yeah,
He's
I
from
think-
Pittsburgh.
Because he ended up with the Browns a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
But he was with the.
I'm not sure if he was there. I think he might have came, like you said, later than that. Because Stevie's brother, his son, Michael, was a kicker at Toledo, and he knows Bruce.
Oh, yeah.
He
Bruce
was on the
still
team there.
lives
Yeah.
there and everything. Anyway, I was just curious because Bruce had a hell of a career. He
Oh,
just retired last year.
Fantastic.
He had like how many years? And like
Yeah.
14 years, and
Yeah,
being
that's
a
it.
quarterback.
Yeah,
and
just a great guy, man.
I think he has a restaurant. And
Yeah, he does.
Now he does,
He does.
color, TV color for
Yeah,
the
yes, he
game.
does. And
Yeah.
his restaurant is called The Social. Just in case you go to Toledo.
really?
Bruce Gronkowski
It's
has
in Toledo?
Social. Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
A great restaurant.
Because he was with the Steelers, too. I didn't know
Yes,
where it
exactly.
ended
Yeah,
up.
he was,
Exactly.
with Oakland.
Yeah,
All over the
and,
place.
So that's.
But he always and so
Great guy, great
so
guy.
we ended up going to do that game, and I get to work on Tuesday after Labor Day, and I get a phone call, and the phone call comes from Dave Perry. It was before caller ID. I'm thinking, who's calling me? Dave Perry. Well, Dave Perry was the supervisor officials for the Big Ten, and he called me up and he called, hey, somebody got hurt over the weekend. Would you mind coming and fill in for the Big Ten? And I'm
Why
thinking,
you think?
I was fortunate that I was on probably top of the game in the Mid-American for the
Because they're
position.
evaluating.
Good reputation. Good
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
reputation.
Why do you know how much evaluating
Oh, you're gonna get it. Come
they
on,
even
Mike.
did back then?
Oh yeah. Well, no, we that's how you eventually get to the good bowl games, and I did the MAC championship game that year, and so I was okay there from that standpoint. And my supervisor, who was good friends with Dave Perry, recommended me to fill in.
Okay.
And so that
So
was
you
a
get the call.
position. Yeah, I get the call, and So the guy goes, okay. He says, well, we need you to go do Indiana at North Carolina State. And that was on a Thursday night game. And this is Tuesday at work. I'm thinking, oh, my gosh, So you sit back and take a deep breath. And, oh, my God. And he goes, then I want you to go to Wisconsin to do Fresno State at Wisconsin on Saturday. I'm thinking, I never did a game in the Big Ten, and here it is. I'm going to do 2 games on a weekend. You know. And,
do they fly you?
Oh, yeah.
You got to jump in the car and go.
No. He said, just make the airline, and because he knew I was doing it really quick because of the situation. So I had to fly on Wednesday, fly into Raleigh, did the game down there. From Raleigh, I flew up to Midway, got picked up by my referee, and he drove me to Madison. Then I flew home Saturday night from Madison. So that was my first experience in the Big Ten. And like I told you, it was 2001, and it was right after Labor Day. Oh, you know what happened right after that? 9/11.
Yeah.
Because I was supposed to do another game that weekend, and all the college games got all canceled. And then, the following weekend, I was scheduled in the MAC game to go. Akron was playing Connecticut, and so I was already
out there.
Yeah, at Connecticut. So I was going there with my crew from the MAC. So I was kind of excited. I'd never been to Connecticut, going there. Then all of a sudden, I'm at a work meeting at my buddy John Rubicic, the superintendent, and we're down the county board. And all of a sudden, my phone rings. I pick it up, and it's my supervisor, Carl Paganelli, and he goes, "Tommy, did Dave Perry call you?" I go, "No." He goes, "Well, he's calling you. He wants you to go to Notre Dame this week." Boom. He hangs up, and I hang up, and I talk to my superintendent. I go, "Hey, I'm going to Notre Dame this weekend." And he just, and whatever my meeting was, I just forgot everything else. I said, boom. And my mind was focused. And so needless to say, I got to go. I did Michigan State at Notre Dame, and then I did another game at Wisconsin. Then the Big Ten regular season started, so they had enough guys to fill in on the regular staff. So I went back into the Mid-American, finished my year in the Mid-American, then more or less got called in to be a full-time Big Ten guy in 2002, and I did it for the next 15 years.
How many officials are on the field at the same time?
Well, now there's 8 officials.
At the time, there were what?
7.
And you were the referee probably in the MAC?
No, I was a head linesman in the MAC.
Do they insert you in the same spot?
Usually
or do you just go in the way the hell back and,
Well, back in the old days, they
spot.
never brought in a referee. When they moved him up, they would put him at a different position.
Okay.
And then they would eventually get him into the referee spot. And like one of my good friends, and he was my referee for a couple of years. He was a head linesman, and he was like out of sync over there because he never really did that in Division III.
Yeah.
And he gets put into the head linesman.
I guess that's my question.
And he was like out of whack.
Do they put you in the spot where the guy's missing, and then you got to learn it real quick, or?
Sometimes you have to. And believe me, it's like if somebody tells you, "Hey, you're getting called up," you're going to say no.
No, you're going to say no.
You're right. You're going, man. You're right. You're going to go.
Well, Mike asked you those questions because when he played high school football, he played way back.
Oh no, I didn't. Cornerback.
And yeah,
I wanted to be the quarterback, but it didn't work.
Quarterback, running back, way back.
Left bench over there.
On the end of the bench. Tight end. Okay.
Can I ask a question, Tommy?
Sure.
When you're playing, you always know that, like in basketball, there's a lot of trash talking. They trash talk to the refs. They talk to each other. Baseball, I'm assuming there's some too, but football, is there a lot of trash talking, or they kind of put their head down and run back?
I was more on the sideline. I think the umpire in the middle of the field gets to hear those linemen do a lot.
Oh,
and I tell
you, to the referees too. I'm sorry. I mean, that's you.
Well, if they're going to come to us, and especially it depends on how they address you, we always have the power of that flag to throw out at them. So and you don't ever want to get a team hurt by a 15-yard penalty, especially if they do it. And back in the high school days, like again, Mr. Vickro and those guys taught us how to more or less, what did you say? Would you want to repeat that?
Right.
Give them a second chance. And if they're dumb enough to say it again, then you definitely flag it. Because you try to you say give them a little chance because they're heated out there, and even with the coaches on the sidelines, man, some coaches use different language than other coaches.
Right. Right. What we were saying, there's notorious baseball coach, managers are notorious. Some of the great ones, Earl Weaver, Billy Martin, Tommy Lasorda, how they berate these guys or come at them. I'm going to say berate them, come at them.
Right.
And in basketball, it's the players down coming at these guys, the referees, and you see them trying to walk away, and they keep getting in the face. You walk away, and then they can't. I was just wondering how it was in football because I don't see a whole lot of it in football.
No, but you know what? There's a lot of more guys out there on the field too. I think, and true, they're all in the heat of the moment out there, and a lot of times they're just saying, hey, they're holding me. They grabbed me.
Right.
They're doing this. So they're telling us what to keep an eye on.
Right.
And usually, when the ball snapped, every official has keys to follow. When back in my key was either the tackle on my side and one of the receivers. If they line up with 3 different on my side, I have a certain guy I have to key on. And believe me, when we watch film afterwards, and if your guy did something wrong, they'll go back to the beginning of the play. They go, who was that key? Okay,
who
and
had
that was your key. And then you let them go. You better have a good excuse. Otherwise, you're getting, per se, the downgrade, and that's part of the evaluation process that we had to use. And but no, like you said, I was lucky enough to start playing a little football game on the south side of Youngstown and grew up in a great neighborhood. And I always tell, and it's true, I know my brother Steve was the playground director, and he always called you Ray Ray.
Yeah.
Wasn't because his brother Lenny, which he was more closer to us,
Right.
he was like a couple of years
Yeah.
younger than us, but
That's
still,
right.
he used to hang with us sometimes, and so we just know those kids from the neighborhood, and we grew up in a great neighborhood, and had Pemberton Park.
Park with the Stoops brothers.
Oh.
And so we all, Tommy lived the next street over. Stoops lived next street from me. Tommy lived next street over from them.
And I always tell the story. I used to deliver newspapers to the Stoops house because my brother Steve and I were paper boys, and we delivered papers. And I was lucky enough in my officiating career, I had the Oklahoma and the Ohio State game. And
no kidding.
there's me on the field, and Bobby's yelling, Tommy, Tommy. And all my fellow crew members are going, why is he calling you Tommy?
Not Tom.
I said, I don't know.
Or Ref.
Yeah.
Or whatever. It's
not
Tommy.
not Ref, like you said, or something
Did he
else.
let you have it?
No, he was just questioning a few things.
Yeah.
No, I don't. They're
You're
most
doing
officials-
his job. Tommy do his. You gotta do his
If
job.
you're on that sideline, it's not the players that are yapping. It's those coaches, right?
Sometimes you're right, definitely, yeah, and mostly because they know that players are not supposed to do it because usually and usually it's not the assistant coaches because you tell them I'll take it from the head coach,
Yeah.
but I'm not taking it from your players and
I'm not
assistant
taking
coach.
from Fredo.
Yeah,
I'll take
right.
it from Michael, but I ain't taking it from Fredo.
Yeah.
I
Well,
got it.
who are some of the people that got into you the most? Now, I've heard Lloyd Carr from
Wait.
Michigan got into you,
Well, and I think I might have told you that
but I
story.
never heard
when-
the story.
Well, the story would, and everybody coaches different. And most beginning, Coach Carr would be right behind you, walking down the sideline, just chirping a little bit.
Because you're right on the line of scrimmage.
Yes, I'm
right?
on the line of scrimmage, so people are right with me. And one time they're playing Michigan State. We're at Michigan, and he was saying, Tom, the tackle for Michigan State, who I believe came from Warren Harding, was one of those big guys from
really?
Warren Harding. And he was the tackle, and he goes, he holds on, the stats show that he holds every single play. And I said, okay, I'm listening, Ball snap, Lamar Woodley's the defensive end for Michigan. Woodley's in the backfield before this guy gets out of his stance. And I turn, I go, he didn't hold on that play the last time he talked to me.
That was it?
Yep. He moved downfield. And usually at the end of the game, and most of the time when I had Michigan back in those days, they mostly won most of the time. And Coach Carr would come up behind you and just say, hey, good job. Where you at next week? Have a good game. That's how he ended the game and the week. And so we always thought, and a lot of people in the officiating standpoint, they call him an equal opportunist because
Who, Lloyd?
because he was involved in a game where I think Michigan played at Michigan State. I'm not sure, like after that. And I don't know if you remember a play where Michigan State, they put a 1 second back on the clock. And that's when the timers were the home school people.
I thought it was Michigan and Penn State.
No, it was Michigan
But
and
go ahead.
Michigan State, I thought. And so Michigan State got to run another play, and you know what happens? They scored a game-winning touchdown, and they beat Michigan. So lo and behold, after next, we started bringing in other non-home school timers.
Okay.
So a lot of former referees who are retired maybe, and they got called up, and some more or less football players who do not have a tie to that school now are the timers. And then the famous game was when Appalachian State beat
Against
Michigan.
Michigan on
Matter of
field
fact, if
goal.
I'm not
A couple years
mistaken,
ago. Wasn't that a couple years ago?
It was it was a while
like,
back.
Was it?
at least 10 years ago.
But it was
Who did they beat a couple years ago? Wouldn't Appalachian State just beat one of the big schools just a couple years ago too?
They could have. Yeah, there's a
They're
good
in
program.
They're Division One now.
Yeah, no, but that was when they were one
But
double A.
that was one of the greatest upsets in the history
Matter of fact,
of
if
sports.
I'm not mistaken, that was the same day
That was Lloyd Carr.
Youngstown State played Ohio State.
Yeah.
When the first time Youngstown State played
Right.
Ohio State, I had that game. And So you're walking on the field, and I don't know if you know Dr. Tamulonis by any chance. He's one of the doctors for the program. And, of course, he sees me from as I'm walking on the field. He starts yelling my name and everything, and I come in the middle of the field, and I'm with another fellow official from Chicago. And so I introduce him, and we talk a little bit, and we say, okay, we gotta get going. And as we're going, Don goes, hey, don't forget what side you're from, like almost talking the Youngstown talk. Help out as much as you could.
I'll tell you what's funny. When I do appearances now, and from people who are originally from Youngstown, can I get the Youngstown discount? I said, the number I just gave you is the Youngstown discount.
And everybody else.
Everyone wants the Youngstown discount.
Well,
So
it's kind of funny when I met L.J. Scott at a function in the summertime a couple years ago.
Sure.
And and any time I would referee any Big Ten game, and if there was a local kid, I would try to seek him out before the game and shake his hand and say, hey, I'm from Youngstown, Ohio. Hey, good luck, have a good game.
Right.
And so he knew who I was, and I went up to him before the game, and they're playing, I forget what team it was, up at Michigan State. And he was supposed to be, the ball's like on the 7-yard line, they're going in for a touchdown. He comes out my way, and he's supposed to be on the line of scrimmage. And he lines up, has to be at least 3 yards back. I mean, it's not even close to the point where you get the
You can't even give it to him.
You give him the Youngstown discount.
Yeah, right.
And so anyway, they
From
scored.
now on, that's our term, Youngstown discount.
Yeah. They threw the touchdown pass, so my flag's out. Boom, and so we call it back. And so anyway, it's eventually I think they did score, but still it had to be called back. So I think they're kicking off or something. I'm on the sideline. Lo and behold, who comes behind me is L.J. Scott. He goes, hey, you couldn't help give me, like you said, give me something from Youngstown? You couldn't help me out? I'm looking, you got to be kidding
Move
me.
your ass up.
I know.
That's what I'm saying, man.
You made it. And I said, anything close, we would help anybody. You try to put the guy where he's supposed to be at, but when the guy's so far in the backfield, you can't help it at all.
No.
So.
And it's funny, you want the Youngstown discount. I'm working on this show for you, the Youngstown discount.
Are you?
Anyhow.
Okay, well.
He's getting paid. That guy's at least getting paid.
We're
We're
trying
over
to-
here. He's
I'm
on
looking
our
at the
own.
crowd here. I'm looking at the
Paid.
crowd here. I think we have Youngstown. We got them outnumbered, Ray.
Yeah.
How's Tressel on the sideline?
I would always say about Tressel on the sideline, Coach Tressel, I always call him.
Coach Tressel, yeah.
He was always thinking like 2 or 3 plays ahead of himself, like everybody else. He would never usually be behind the official. He was always down because he was, more with the offense and he's calling the play. So he was more or less away from me. So he never really hardly came. If he come up, man, I tell you, there had to be something bearing that he didn't really like. So he was not like Lloyd Carr behind me talking the whole time. He kept his distance away, but because he was trying to get a viewpoint of, where the lineman is. But I always remembered one time, I forget, again, that was at Ohio State game, and they lined up wrong. But, the rule is you have to have 7 men on the line of scrimmage. And if the one guy on my side was you could have more than 7. You could have all, I guess,
And
really
you just
legally.
kind of count your side, right? Is that how it goes?
Yeah, we give like little signals.
You're like,
acknowledge.
I got 3 or 4 or whatever it is.
We have a signal that we acknowledge the keys and how much you have to do, and you punch off at the guys in the backfield. And again, I hear the players in the backfield, on the sideline, shout, you're supposed to be on the line, you're supposed to be on the line. And all I heard is Coach Tressel going, call it, like be quiet. Well, if you run the ball, it doesn't matter. As long as you got your 7 men on the line, you could, the play's legal. But if he was going to pass the ball, the guy would have been ineligible. But he ran the ball. So Coach knew exactly, he lined up wrong, but the formation, they met the requirement. Yeah, but so those are kind of guys he are. But he was, and
How about Urban Meyer?
Urban hardly ever talked to the officials. He always had
Somebody else
like
talked to him.
like his assistant there, not assistant coach.
Do they talk to you then? More than. So he doesn't talk to the officials. He just sends like a runner over to do the talking for him.
Something's going to get thrown out. They don't want it to be him.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Well, you know what? In their defense, maybe his mind is, they're thinking way down there. They're focused over there. And I remember when, the first time I ever had the Michigan-Ohio State game was in 2002, and I had my team was Ohio State, and I had to go get Ohio State's team before the game. And I tell you, there's Coach Tressel leading the team on, and man, I tell you, he was just focused, biggest game of his career life, and it was, and and they were so focused, and that's when Maurice Clarett was on the team, and I tell him when he was on top of his game, not being injured, man, he was a man amongst boys.
Clarett,
yeah.
Oh, you heard that? I never look. I was a young kid. when Ted Bell was running back. Ted Bell, for those ladies, was probably the greatest high school.
I've heard
runner.
about this guy for 20 years.
Right.
This Ted Bell.
He went to Mooney.
Yep.
I went his 2 greatest games. I was supposed to have tickets for both. I was a young kid. I was playing for Little Redmond.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't, for whatever reason, I couldn't go. The one he played against Camel Memorial, he made six touchdowns. And then the other one against Fitch when he ran for over 300
I was
yards.
at the Fitch game, and
Yeah.
I swear to God, it was like 4th down and like 15. And what would Coach Butch usually do? Punt?
Right.
No, he gives the ball to Ted Bell, and he just goes zigzag, and next thing you know, they made the first down or a touchdown. He was just unbelievable.
But everybody said, if you're in this area, the closest thing Ted Bell was Maurice Claret. And in high school, I guess he was again, like you said, a man amongst boys.
Yeah, because when I covered high school for since '91, and there's only about 3 guys I can think of that whenever they hit the pile, he moved it.
Oh,
Claret was one of them.
yeah.
Charles Gladman, he ended up at Pitt. Was a Garfield player, was another one.
Oh,
and,
okay.
and there weren't many. Adrian Brown, who ended up at Youngstown State. Guys
Captain
that
McKinley.
hit the pile and move it every single time. And Claret's one of those guys.
Well,
Amazing. Just amazing to watch him play.
when he played in the high school playoff game, they played against Lakewood St. Ed's, and he scored he had, 400.
Couldn't stop him.
Yeah, like
Couldn't stop him.
and St. Ed's is not like a Mickey Mouse program. That's
No,
huge.
that was a
so
crazy game.
he definitely was a man amongst boys. And matter of fact, when he went to Ohio State, after he graduated in December, I believe,
Early,
and
yeah.
he went down early, and we went down. Dr. Glass had got a crew of local guys, and we all went to do a practice down there, and he was there, and I tell you, he got popped by somebody, and I tell you, he just jumped up, went right back into the huddle like nothing happened, Where other guys would probably be still laid out on the ground.
Ugh.
So he was a tough man. There's no doubt about it. And,
How about somebody told me to ask you about Ron Zook.
well, Ron
He used to coach Illinois.
yeah,
he
he
was
was
from Florida first, right? And then he
Correct.
went to Illinois.
One thing about Coach Zook, man, he was one heck of a recruiter. He recruited great down in Florida, but just I guess they couldn't put it together. And then when he was at Illinois, he recruited a lot of great guys. But what we were known, him and I had a little run-in on was they had a play where they ran a fake punt. And one of my jobs is to make sure everybody lines up on the line of scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
And to make a quick story, I threw the flag that he was not on the line of scrimmage. It was against Penn State. The score, I think, was 21 to like 8 or maybe 0.
Illinois is
And-
losing.
Yeah, they're losing. And they run the fake punt, and they make the first down. But my penalty flags, they're saying they weren't lined up right, so we got to bring it back. Needless to say, they don't punt again. They hit the punt now. They can't do a fake again. And they end up losing the game like 56 to like 7 or 8 or I forget it was. And he just thought that he took it out on me for that I made a bad call, and that
Changed the
Changed the
momentum
whole
of the
game.
game.
When even though they were losing that kind of score.
Like during the game, like over and over and over and
oh
over
yeah,
again.
oh yeah.
But we were losing by 3 touchdowns. We wound up losing by 6. We could have lost by 4 if you didn't get the right call.
If they would have maybe made a first down and
Right.
but because
Colorful language.
oh, probably yeah and,
Tom, did you ever give it back? Colorful language?
Are you
I'd have
allowed to
tell
give
him.
it
no,
back? Are
no,
you
I
allowed?
think we're trying to be we're professional and we
Yeah,
try to do
but
it.
I can
and-
only take so much.
Yeah, oh,
I
you're
wouldn't
right.
have the
Well,
temperament.
again-
I wouldn't have the temperament. That's right. Like you say, like baseball umpires.
Sure.
They give it back just as good as they get. A lot of them.
Sometimes they
Yep,
do.
yep.
Yeah.
And you got to, that's where, if the guy is going to be so much, you just tell him, okay, timeout. Either you call it, we're going to flag you. And,
Yeah.
And so, but no, but that was probably one of the standouts. And then I guess needless to say, he was chirping the whole time. And where when one of my neighbors saw it on TV, so he started making fun of Ron Zook all the time for being here.
Do
Zook's going to send you a Christmas card.
Do refs get nervous? I mean, you did Ohio State, Michigan. You went to Notre Dame in your first big
Yeah.
game. I mean, that's not NC State.
Well,
Do refs get nervous?
Well, you know what? I think
Or officials?
you call be prepared. And I look at coming from Youngstown. We had some big games in Youngstown. When Mooney played Ursuline, that was always a big high school
always
game.
big,
I
right.
used to have we had that game. I had the Boardman and Fitch game.
Boardman Mooney
And,
too.
Yeah,
Those are
and
big
right.
games.
Those are big. Yeah, right. Those are big games. And matter of fact, and I was fortunate to do the McKinley and Massillon game a couple times.
There's none bigger than that.
No, and I told us, one of the things about being in college officiating, you get to work with a group of men from all Midwest Ohio. I mean, so I knew Midwest states. So I know guys from, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Nebraska, you name it. And I tell them, there's a game that gets 22,000 people to come to, a high school game. They're looking at you like, sure, but they don't realize what kind of football we have in Northeast Ohio.
But the funny thing is, like I got to go do one of the fights on next FS1 coming up in Edinburgh, Texas, which is down by McAllen, Texas, which actually you fly into McAllen, and I was in Hidalgo, Texas, a couple years ago doing one for True TV, which is a border town, and it's Edinburgh, Texas, another border town, but they were talking about the football. High school football there, because that's where the Friday Night Lights was.
That's a crazy kind of high school
because
football.
when you say 34, they're building a stadium 60,000 seat.
Come on,
football
for high school?
High school. So when we say we had 30, 40, there, that's the norm. That's the norm in Texas.
Isn't that crazy?
That's the norm.
Right.
And it is crazy.
It's hard to believe.
It is.
Well, football, they practice all year long. You know, they have the spring ball. They have like in high school.
Well, that's the same thing in California. Spring ball and then football, and then you go right back into it. All the sports in like especially in California, all sports are year round now. Probably most places, because they tell you we want you in freshman year play as many sports as possible, which is all bull crap. Because which is not, but they want you. And then started your sophomore year, they tell you pick one, and you go, well, I like to pick up. Now, public schools, they pick one. Now, private schools, you have to because there's not enough.
Not players.
But that is still like there. But here they say, okay, play as many sports. We want you to be the best athlete possible. Sophomore year, pick one.
Yep.
And that's why these kids go. Oh, and I'm talking about Tyler Skaggs.
Yeah.
It could have been 3-sport star.
Yeah.
The kid was
That's what he
football. He
picked.
was a quarterback for football. But he was a guard. Forward for basketball. And he picked one. But he obviously picked the right one.
Yeah.
How many people that you said if you're a nice pitcher, you're the coach of a football team. You're looking at that guy. If he's nice size,
Of course.
why don't you be my quarterback?
6'4".
Yeah.
Tyler was
Usually
6'4".
they are the quarterback, and they just kind of play baseball in the summertime.
Yeah.
Or the spring, you know?
Yeah.
'cause
Right.
they're
But there's a
quarterback.
couple that started going the other way. You know, parents didn't
Right.
want them to get
But
hurt.
that's what I say. You
football.
look at Mike Trout. He was a 3-sport star,
Yeah.
quarterback, and you could see it. Like I said, look like a linebacker. You could see it. Stuck with baseball. Look, it went way back when Dave Winfield was drafted by all three
That's nuts.
Minnesota. Yeah.
Minnesota out of Minnesota, University of Minnesota.
Yes.
All three major sports. He was drafted in the first round: football, basketball, and baseball. Stuck with baseball. Anthony Davis, AD from Southern California, the Notre Dame killer.
Yes.
Known that because people go, what? 11 touchdowns in 3 years. Anthony's daughter and my daughter played together at softball. We still have to be good friends. AD. He got drafted, in the first round by both sports. Football. Anthony won 4 national championships. 2 for football, 2 for baseball.
Why didn't know
The
baseball?
outfield was him, Fred Lynn,
Wow.
That's a good
him.
outfield.
It was him, Freddie Lynn, and now the guy who went to the pros. And you would know the name,
From USC.
USC. But he said, man, and he plays football, and Tampa Bay was just an expansion team then,
Yeah.
and came in and he said, man, boom, if I could do it all good, man, baseball, man, longevity, man.
Oh, Bo Jackson.
Yeah,
You know,
look at him.
He could save. Of
Broke
course, he
his
got
hip
hurt.
off.
Yeah.
But it was football
Cost
that he
him.
got hurt on.
Yeah, he got right. But he was playing both. But he went with baseball.
Simultaneously. Same thing with Deion Sanders when he
Yeah.
did that. But if you talk to these guys, how many of them say they would have stuck with baseball?
Well,
Oh, plenty. I
Yeah,
guarantee it.
That's what I'm saying.
Let me ask you some more ref questions.
sure.
Ray and I remember, and of course you remember, Saints versus the Rams.
Yeah.
Saints throw the pass.
Right.
Rams guy interferes.
Yeah.
We're upset.
Right.
Like as a fan,
Right,
we're
right,
upset.
right.
Now you're a fan. Or do you get upset about a bad call or a call that was poorly done, or do you kind of side with those guys, whatever sport it is?
Well, I think if you've been officiating for a long time, you're human. You probably made some.
Of
course.
It's about human error. You got a
Yeah.
lot for
Of
So,
course
you know,
you're going to make a bad call.
But I guess when I saw that play, and believe me, we're over a friend's house. We were down in Florida visiting my wife's mom's place, and so friends called us over to watch the game. So we're watching the game, and as soon as that play happens, my phone started dinging from
Yeah,
friends.
yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
what did you think about that? What did you
right,
think about
right.
it?
So what did
And-
you think about
Well,
it?
the answer
missed
is you're right. It was definitely a call. They should have been made. But my concern was, you're out there as a group, and somebody doesn't make that call. There was 2 other guys could have helped.
Could they have
Tom,
thrown it
that's what I'm
from
saying.
there?
They were on the sideline.
Yeah,
Why
Are they allowed to do
why
that?
wouldn't they revert to them? Why don't you say?
Yeah. I mean, they could, and I believe me, I've had flags when I've flown and thrown on somebody's guy, and either they come up and say, "Hey, I just missed that. Thank you for throwing the flag," or they could come up and say, "What did you see?" And matter of fact, I'll never forget the first time I had a game. After in 2002, when my first game in the season was Washington at Michigan, and here it was, the game's going, and right in the first half, I throw a flag for pass interference, and a couple of guys came up and they started looking at me like, "Hey, what did you see? Did you got this?" And questioning almost like, and I'm the rookie official on the game, and I'm thinking, "Oh my God, maybe I don't have it or something." We go in at halftime, and a very good friend of mine from Canton, Ohio, he's my field judge on the same side. He goes, "Tommy," he goes, "if two guys come up and tell you, question a call, pick your flag up." I'm thinking, wow, I just didn't see it right. So after the game's over, back in those times, we would have a review after the game. We had an observer. He comes in, and we put the film on, and we start questioning that. And the observer goes, "Hey, why were you guys taking such a long time on that pass interference call? I thought it was a no-brainer."
Okay.
And the buddy who told me to pick the flag up says, "Tommy, good call."
Oh, there you go.
But again, so you look at that as being, you don't want to be thrown in somebody's area all the time.
Sure.
But if you could help them out, you try to help them out. And I think that's what I was more upset on that play. I think two other guys could have helped that one official.
Tom, now sports is they always talk about human error. I said, sports now has become sports betting, and sports has become such the biggest businesses in the world. You can't allow for human error. So we know they make human error, and that we could give it a pass, but you got to go. That's what machines are there for.
Yeah.
So use them. So the guy like you said, "Hey, I made a mistake." If it look, remember a couple years ago when the guy, when what's his name pitched a perfect game and the first baseman.
The guy he's from Youngstown, isn't he? Jerry Meals.
Oh yeah.
Makes a bad call on first base.
And when he said, I've ruined it for it. He felt so bad. And I felt bad for the guy. But he acknowledged it. But you
Is that who it was? I didn't want to say I don't know if it was him or not. I think it was. But anyway, it was the guy from Youngstown, I thought.
Well,
but anyhow.
And what I'm
saying,
saying,
I'm not positive either.
And he went back and he said, I messed up. But they could, now baseball, you could overrule it. At that time, they couldn't, or they would have.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. Football is such a big sport. You can overrule it. Why not? Why did they come up from down upstairs with the bull crap about
can't do it.
You can't do it within 2 minutes.
Those are the
What
rules.
shit is that?
But there's certain replay has when replay
Certain things
first
you can
started.
replay and certain things you
Yeah,
can't. Right?
but that makes no sense. That's my point.
I see.
What you can replay and what you can't. Either do all of it or none of it.
Yeah.
You can't pick and choose. And then last 2 minutes. Last 30 seconds. What's the difference if it costs you the game? And that costs, look.
Super Bowl.
It all makes you, yes. And it makes you wonder. Then you start questioning, well, is
Maybe
the
he's on the
okey-doke
take.
in
Right.
to fix in because they don't want the Patriots playing the Saints because they want to play the younger team that never had that experience.
Yeah.
I mean, there's questions you
Sure
can
you do. And that guy has to drive you bananas.
Oh, you're right.
Because you're working with these guys, right?
Yeah. And and that crew that was assigned, they were supposed to be considered like an all-star.
They're the
type
all-stars.
of crew. Yeah.
They're not normally working together.
Right. But still, you're still out there. It doesn't matter if you're enemies or not. When you step on the field, that's your team, and you go to bat for them.
Yeah.
And but I know that I think when they hired that crew, and they put the NFL, I think, put them in a little jackpot by I think 3 or 4 of them were from the L.A. district.
Right.
And this the perception, like. Oh, they're home. Nah, I don't believe in that.
No, I don't either.
But they should never put them on there.
But I don't think it's see, Tommy, what I'm saying, I don't think it's the guys who are from the LA area. I think it's from the higher ups.
Oh, yeah.
From the NFL office.
Well, that's true.
Because it's called business.
Yeah.
Business.
No, it's hard to. It's really hard in your position, I'm sure, because you know these guys.
Yep.
And it's hard for us as fans to understand it. And then, like we're from Youngstown, we know John Hirschbeck. We know Wally. I mean, we know all these guys. And I come to Youngstown and they're like, these are the greatest guys in the world. And I'm like, yeah, great. Well, John Hirschbeck's strike zone sucks. But you can't say that because he's the nicest guy in the whole wide world, and
Well, you
it's
were
just
saying
one of
this
those
strike
things.
zone sucks.
I'm not a fan of it.
Oh
So-
no, okay, no, my okay.
But,
no, you're right,
but there
John.
are people that say that.
Right.
Like if you watch the Cubs and Indians World Series, I was standing there in
And John,
Chicago.
John, that's
I love that guy.
That,
I mean, I've never
go
met
find
him.
out.
He's
that's
probably the nicest guy in
He
the
is
whole
one
wide
of the
world.
He
best.
is a nice
One
guy.
of the best.
Absolutely.
That's
I know,
that's
John.
But,
Mike's
we
opinion
went to
only. Mike.
Chicago.
John, that's Mike's opinion only.
And
Yeah,
we go
yeah,
to,
please tell it.
we watch the Cubs and the Indians in the World Series. He's behind the plate, and I'm standing there, and he makes a borderline call to what the Chicago fans thought was the wrong way. I'm like, listen, dude, you're in for 9 innings of this, so just be ready of it. And and that's how it goes. So as a fan, you're just so fired up about this stuff, and then you guys are so calm about this stuff. It just. But the first thing you do is that guy sucks, and that's not really the case.
Well, what I have a problem with in referees, you said very calm, because all I have to do is
Sure.
ding, and then, or you're gone, and you got no repercussion. You get now, like you said, you could say, professionals say, look, man, cut back on that.
Yep.
Watch your mouth.
Yeah.
Watch your mouth, and then okay, I get it. If the guy's belligerent enough, starts talking about your family, I get that.
I agree.
But you get most of the guys, like I said, will chance to walk away, give them a chance to go. And if they keep falling, you get in your face, then you got, especially with the basketball players, there's some. But at some point, though, I'm to acknowledge like I said, human error. But sports is such big business. It's hard, you can't allow for the human error. It's just a bad way of saying it.
Well,
I guess.
and
you got to use the machines to check on it.
Well, that's like when you start getting into college officiating. A good friend, Julius Livas, who was also a fellow Big Ten official, and he climbs up the ranks and he goes, "What's the difference?" Because all the guys are big. Speed is the name of the game.
That's the name of the game.
Speed is the name of the game.
And they're getting faster.
Oh yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. So when you're going from Division III up to the Big Ten, they're just quicker. Quicker is the speed, because they're all big guys. But again, and like sometimes the old saying goes from an official. Let your mind digest what you've just seen before you throw the flag. Because a lot of things you want to throw right away. Let it think a second. You might think it seems like an hour, but it might only be a second or two before I saw the push in the back. Let me throw the flag.
Mm-hmm.
And
do you ever think of yourself, well, that's my case. He's done it before. He's a jerk off. So I'm
good. He's an a-hole.
I'm just
Right.
I'm just saying whoever the player is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm saying whoever the player is. You have to think, he's a jerk off.
I tell you,
So, I don't know, man.
The bad thing is
I bet the
with
basketball
with
guys
all
do.
the cameras you have nowadays, and if you see the guy going like this, to throw the flag, you reach, you didn't throw it. And he says, well, hopefully you could say, I didn't see it exactly. And and you're supposed to make sure you see the whole thing. You just don't want to see part of the play, and then you think, I think that was a pass interference. Or if you didn't see the whole thing, boom.
And Tom, you can't say that. And I'm sure, I'm probably more in basketball than football, or even, maybe baseball. Hey, this guy's a crab baby. He's bitches about everything. I'm gonna tell you right now.
Oh, of course
He comes
there's
up,
personalities.
He comes up. He says, I'm hitting him with the tee or something like that. I mean, you got.
Well,
certain
again,
guys you got to have out. Guys who said things to you, you probably give it a pass, get a pass. And but to this guy, certain games, if he says one more thing, I'm giving a tee him up or something. You got to be. I'd be do that.
When I first got in the Big Ten, our supervisor, more or less, we, not to say we don't want to take a lot of stuff from the coaches, but his idea was, let the players decide the game. He hate to have a 15-yarder against a coach,
sideline.
and the next thing you know, here comes a first down, and he scored a game-winning touchdown. But I think also you got to make sure it's professional, and a lot of coaches understand that. And
you see teams playing the hearts out, man, playing the heart, and then you got the jerk off coach and making a comment and stuff.
Usually,
or whatever bad sport it is.
Absolutely.
even from high school level all the way up, when you have two good teams playing, usually those are the easiest games to referee when they're evenly matched, because they're not going to do a stupid thing.
Right.
It's not going to get the cheap fouls or unsportsmanlikes or anything, because they know one bad call could cost them the whole game. So
probably wasn't hard to do to referee a Woody Hayes game.
Oh,
Those go by quick.
Because it's
3 yards.
We're going to go 3 yards and a cloud of dust.
And they're going
we're
to clock.
back.
They're going to tick, 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 tick.
And 3rd and 25. Up the middle, we're going to show them. We're going to show them.
we could beat them.
Oh, my God.
One time in the Mid-American Conference, I had Ohio University at Akron. It was a TV game, so they allow a 3-hour window for a TV game, at least. Next thing you know, Jim Grobe was the coach at OU. He never ran the ball. I mean, never passed the ball. He ran all the time. So they did not throw one pass for Ohio University at that time, and Akron only threw a few. Our game, with all the TV timeouts and everything, 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Oh, nice.
That was beautiful. I mean, living from Youngstown going to Akron,
Come home,
and
I'll
I
be
was
home
home
by
by 5 o'clock. Man, I tell you, I was the luckiest guy in the world.
Can I
But-
ask you about 10-cent beer night?
Oh yeah,
Please.
I was wondering if you were going to get to it.
I want to. I know you're running over.
Oh,
We're running over.
last
no,
one.
No. But
You
no,
know,
I want to hear this stuff.
and well, let's go back to the story. We work out over here at Avalon, and
Yeah.
Mike's in the morning, and one of my old fraternity brothers, Joe Blazo's here, and we start talking about back in was it like
74.
Yeah, we were in a fraternity house, and a group of my fraternity brothers. Hey, let's go see the Indians game. It's beer night. It was 10 cents beer night.
10-cent beer night, which at the
So-
time sounded like a great idea.
It was a
great
good
promotion.
idea.
In
So
theory.
we
Yeah.
go up there,
Well,
and
they almost got 30,000 people, didn't
oh
they?
yeah,
That
they had a
night?
great turnout, and
Well, how'd the team? What was the team? They were
They're awful.
terrible. Oh,
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah,
That's what
it's
I was thinking.
1974.
That's
now.
why they
They're
did
still
join
playing
out.
at Municipal Stadium,
Yeah,
the
that's why
football
they did the
stadium.
10-cent beer night,
and
I think, to get some
to
people,
get
there.
people.
Was it a Friday night?
No, I think it was during the week. I thought.
Really?
I thought it was during the week, but I could be wrong on that. But we all jumped in. We had like 2 carloads. We get up there, and we had nice seats right behind the third base dugout. And all of a sudden, like you said, things start getting. You could just see the crowd starts getting more wild, and
Are you
beers
guys
going.
slamming beers?
We had a few beers. I would say not slamming, but
Because
we
you
had
got
a
to drive
few.
back to
A
Youngstown.
little bit
Yeah, right.
belligerent.
Well,
a little bit belligerent.
believe me.
Before
fans.
Uber
Yeah,
existed.
Well, and that was okay. That was. I'll tell another story about Ray would know about these guys. But anyway, we get there, and next thing you know it, at the right field area where I guess more of the drunks were. Things get a little heavy out there for Jeff Burrows, and I think they start even maybe throwing the beers at
He's
him.
on the Rangers.
Yeah,
Yeah, and they're
he's the
throwing
right
stuff
fielder.
at
Yeah,
him,
he's
right?
throwing. Then all of a sudden, I guess we're on the third base side. That's where the Texas Rangers bench was. Then all of you see Billy Martin come out of a dugout with a bat, and just start running out to right field to protect his player, because people were throwing beer on him.
But there
and-
were no people on the field yet. were
not
there?
yet. No.
But people were streaking and doing crazy stuff, weren't
Well,
they?
I don't remember all the shriekers.
Yeah.
I always remember because after the game, one of my fraternity brothers somehow the Texas Rangers hat. Now, how he got that hat, I don't remember, but I'm not going to.
an actual hat
Actual hat
from one of the
Took
Rangers.
it off
He
the
might
player,
have been on
man.
the field. He
Yeah.
might have been on the field then.
Well, maybe it might have fell into the stands. Who knows? But
Sure.
but the idea, because that's when eventually the things, once they start going, everybody start defending themselves.
Yeah, so
and-
Billy Martin goes out there, then what?
then that's when things broke up, and then eventually called the game right after that.
But
it was
fans
over.
started going on the
Oh yeah.
field.
Oh,
right?
it went nuts then because it was free for all then. And back in the security wasn't the same way they have now, and people just flooded the field, and it was going crazy. And he was protecting his players. He said they were picking on his guy, and I think that's a good manager to go out
Yes,
there and
right.
protect.
Well, you talk to anybody who played. But, I got friends with Mickey Rivers.
Oh, yeah.
And Mickey said, "Man, they love playing for Billy. Man, we love
Everybody
Billy."
did.
But
Everybody did.
matter of fact,
Yeah.
I think up in Cleveland now there's a store that has shirts, and I see it now.
Yeah.
10-cent beer night shirt. And
You
I,
should get
I
one of
did. I
those.
took a picture of it.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to get rid of T-shirts first before I buy more. But just the idea that I did see that, and I thought of it because Bo and I just talked about that just a couple months ago.
Now, did you ever fear for your safety that day?
No.
Were you
no.
just kind of sitting in there in the stands? Just
We got
standing
to the
there
dugout.
soaking it?
We were on top of the dugout.
Yeah.
That's how far we went. No, a couple of our guys did go all the way in on the, I would say, the field. But no, yeah, sometimes use good common sense. I think when you see bats,
I'm a spectator.
Yeah.
I would love just to watch this.
It was
especially
like,
when bats are out there. Boom. They're gonna have no helmet. I know.
Yeah. No.
were the players like joining together to defend themselves? I mean, were the Indians players helping the Rangers players get the fans
I
off?
don't remember that. I remember just the Rangers coming, like when you see these fights going.
Yeah.
And it was like not against team, it's protecting their team. I think Cleveland was still trying to figure out what was going on, because who knows what they were doing. Because I think, they would have to be the bat because, Texas was
We're
on
out
the
in the
field.
field, yeah.
So, and then eventually once it got to chaos and they just tried to get the players off the field then, because people started, going crazy like
It's
that.
funny, Jeff Burrows, man. Yeah, he was a big
Oh,
home
big
run
fish.
hitter.
Yeah,
Remember,
yes, he
leading
was.
league
Yeah.
Remember, and it's crazy aside, I don't know why I remember this. 10, 15 years ago, his son Scott Burrows was on
The Little League World Series.
And he was a big
That's right.
guy.
Yeah, and he was another one. And he actually got drafted.
Oh,
and he
right,
went,
okay.
he got drafted. I don't know where he went, if he got a chance to make it to the bigs,
Mm-hmm.
but he got drafted. But I remember Jeff Burrows and Scott Burrows.
I didn't know his name was Scott, but I do remember
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
he's from Jersey.
So when you
Jersey.
when you guys were driving home, were you like, that is the greatest thing in the whole wide world, or what?
Well, being from Youngstown, you figured, hey, that was a heck of a deal, 10-cent beer night.
Yeah.
So that's why we probably went, number
Uh-huh.
one. The Indians was the secondary part of it. But then, to witness, not knowing years later how it's going to be one of the most famous nights that they had at that stadium. But then I think once they started, then they do something again. You had a limit how many beers you could get.
Yeah.
And there was all kind of limits they put on it. But that first time, it was free for all. You could go up buy 5 beers for like 50 cents.
Well, as soon as the gates open,
Yeah.
you
Oh,
can
yeah.
start drinking beer.
Yes.
I don't know what
Yeah.
I'm thinking is 74. Oscar Gamble play for them.
Probably on the Indians.
I remember. I was
It's
just
right
thinking.
about
I'm
that
trying to
time.
remember. Trying to think that Oscar.
Right
Gamble.
about
He had the
that
fro, man.
With
didn't
the
he?
fro, that was
helmet
it,
would
man.
go on.
That's the
Yeah,
70.
yeah.
Oh, Oscar Gamble with that
Yeah,
fro.
yeah.
Another book.
Yep.
What I've been thinking him. I don't know. When you said 74, I'm thinking who would play on the team at then? I was thinking Oscar Gamble.
You probably can't name too many Indians.
Nah.
No, I was going to say, I can't even remember too many. I just remember Jeff Burrows in right field
Yeah.
and Billy Martin, man. That's all two. Remember, I can still see them happening right today. And but it was a good experience for us. We had a great fraternity night
Yeah.
out there, and we still talk about it now.
I would.
So,
God,
but-
I'd be talking about that all the
but-
time.
oh, yeah.
That's cool.
Man, I'm glad we got this. And I didn't know because Mike had been talking about it for a while. I'm thinking, I said, I got to hear his story. He said, yeah.
Well,
Well, there are some videos on like YouTube and stuff you can
I'm
watch.
sure- I
about
bet
it.
you're-
If
well,
you had 10-cent beer night at Cleveland Stadium.
It's pretty easy.
Old
June
Lakefront
4th,
Municipal Stadium, yeah.
1974.
Yeah,
Municipal. That's right.
right.
That's nuts.
Tom, I can't think, I got to get you back because you got a lot of great stories, but I want to ask you more. But, people are saying, hey, wrap it up.
Oh, wrap it up.
It's like-
Hey,
it's like
I
when
know
was-
those signals.
It was like what I was doing yesterday at the church when people were talking.
Yeah, wrap it up,
Well,
Auntie.
You
I
know
don't
what?
mean, and I don't mean no disrespect. They were lovely
Okay.
people.
And I don't
Very
mean
heartfelt.
disrespect to John
No,
Hirschbeck,
no,
okay?
No,
Of
Mike,
course
you
not.
said
Hey, boo.
John,
Yeah,
John,
yeah.
John.
Now I don't want him
I'm
mad
gonna go
at me.
back. Knees to the shoulders.
right.
Knees to the shoulders. Inside, outside. 4 corners. Come on now.
Well.
Mike told me, he said, Josh,
No, he pushes it way out. It's low. I don't even want to.
corner to corner.
get into it. It's-
Not.
We need the machine.
I think from an official, though, all you
I
need
agree.
is be consistent, though.
That's all.
Yeah,
Consistently good or consistently bad.
Well,
Be consistent. I
yeah.
tell people the same thing. I agree with you. If you're consistent, that one consistently bad, but he's consistent.
if you
Just
know
pick one way and stick
yeah.
with it.
Yep. Of
Don't do
course.
the okey doke. Don't do the flippy floppy back and forth.
Well, don't do it for one team and not the other team. You got to be
That's
consistent on both
frustrating.
sides. And
That can be
but
frustrating.
but no.
Mike said, "Don't
Matter of
get-
fact,
I
Mike
feel
said,
bad.
don't get me frustrated.
my wife and I, we just went to the All-Star game. And
Yeah, you did the whole
we-
weekend, right?
We were up there for all the events, and we're going through the convention center, and there's the Cleveland sign. And there's a family and some friends taking a picture, and the guy had his phone. And I said, hey, why don't you get in a picture? We'll take your picture. But so I said, thank you. So he goes, I'll do your picture. So Maria and I go behind the Cleveland sign. He takes our picture, and then he hands it back. He goes, if the picture's a little blurry, he goes, I'm the home plate umpire tomorrow night. And so I started talking to him. I said, well, I'm from Youngstown. I know John Hirschbeck. He goes, I started on my first year in the Major League. I was on his crew. So, but,
There you go.
but he didn't say anything about a strike zone.
No, we're not bringing it up
Would you
ever
say-
again.
Was this
Ever
past
again.
Yes.
All-Star weekend?
Yeah, just
Okay, the All-Star game. Fox.
You got to go.
Yeah, they sent a car for me. They go up there for me and Sean Porter. They got seats there because we're doing
wow.
we did this past
Yeah.
weekend. We do
Where'd the seats end
Pacquiao,
at? Where
third-
were they?
Oh,
Behind
right,
home plate?
yeah,
Like in
they
the
were seated
box?
right behind third base.
Oh,
Up,
that's
like
awesome.
it was beautiful seats, beautiful seats. And they go, not that I wanted, because it was Tuesday. I was leaving Wednesday. I had
Yeah.
to go, and they said we want you to go because we're going to send a car for you, and we're going to get. They're going to come to you, and to promote the Pacquiao
Oh.
Thurman, we're going to have a shot at you and Sean. And listen, so third, fourth inning, they come over, put me and Sean, sit down. They said, okay, the guy says, look at the camera. And then look out or do whatever you
Yeah.
want to do with that. So, okay, Rollins, me, Sean. Okay, look at the camera, look over. The stupid stuff. I
Yeah,
mean,
he makes fun of me.
Sean's looking at me going, right, yeah, just like, this is the dumbest shit I ever did. Because I said, how about you? Because I can't stand it. And we're smiling. Okay, to take it. Okay, thank you very much. But the seventh inning, they coming up. I said, okay, but I said, well, I told my son, tape it.
Yeah.
Me and my bride get in the car, go back. I said, I called my son, and it goes, Pop, it never came on.
Never
I said,
showed.
"What?" So I called, it never came on. So I called John Stouffer, our guy, our head of publicity at Fox. I said, John, what happened? Oh, Ray, it was the shortest All-Star game in 15 years. I go, yeah, and?
And
And they go, yeah, but we needed a few more timeouts. You know how they change pitchers. They didn't change pitchers a lot. I said, yeah, and well, we need a little more timeout. A few
Sounds
more
like a lot of
pitching changes.
excuses,
We'd
man.
have got up. But we appreciate you going, John. I appreciate that. I enjoyed going. Me and my bride appreciate being there. But it's like, you know,
Wow.
that was like you flew, you got the car. I appreciate.
That's a lot of money to spend
lot
to take
of money
a
for
chance.
nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And but whatever. Anyhow, they did well to sort of they made out because this weekend the pay-per-view did very
Did you hear any
exceeded
numbers?
theirs.
Have you heard any
not
numbers?
Not yet. Exceeded
They were
the
just
numbers,
happy.
but they expected it. They're very happy with it. And I said to the execs, and you know, I told them, I said, when am I getting my own show? No, I did.
Yeah.
I said, so when am I getting my own show? They start laughing. I go, no, I'm so good. I said, I'm an hour from New York.
Mm-hmm.
I said, fly me and let's do, an hour show. I said, a round table show. I said, me and a fighter, bring in one of the current fighters. Or old fighter. Talk about the current state of boxing. Talk about the PBC shows. Fight you just saw because we're on twice a month. We could talk. Last week, 2 weeks ago, fight coming up, and then we bring an entertainer or a musician. That's something in the entertainment field because they're the biggest fight fans. Every actor wants or musician wants to be athlete. Every athlete wants to be an actor or a musician. Let's merge it, and we do a roundtable discussion, and I can variety questions. What was the greatest fight you ever saw? The biggest fight you ever saw? The first fight you ever saw? All that stuff. At least, it's a great idea. I said, but I said, when am I getting my own show? And I said, no. I said, let's do this, man. So,
Wow.
Who knows?
Is it because you want to get away from me?
No, Mike.
that-
I thought he's
wish he
taking
could
you
really-
along. He's not taking
I
you
don't
along.
think he's taking
Mike,
me.
Oh, you're not the
Doesn't
quarterman
sound
there.
like-
He's not the quarterman.
It felt like I'd be part of
If I
it.
could just pack you up and just bring you with me.
Yeah.
What if I lost 20 pounds? Then could I be on the show?
Oh, is that what you need?
Yeah. No. We need the plump guy.
I'm an
Yeah, I
interviewer.
know.
He
He knows what to
I'm
do.
a
You're
half as good as Myers.
No, you're a terrific interviewer, which is why
Yeah.
I make the intro and let him take over.
Yeah,
He's
he's
the greatest gig going.
definitely.
Thanks,
Where you
Fox.
get paid it's where you get paid the big bucks.
That's
and
right.
And I get a ham sandwich.
Get the
Youngstown,
discount.
the Youngstown discount we got.
Yeah, I get the yes, Lauren. Did you hear that? You get the Youngstown discount. And,
She's gonna wring your neck.
Lauren's
dude.
got it down. Lauren's
She's
got it
gonna
down.
wring your neck.
which reminds me. No.
You have a funny story about Lauren to tell?
I'm
What?
not.
Is that what you were saying?
No, I just joke.
Okay.
Hey.
I know, you gotta go. Tom's gotta go.
We got a
Oh,
little
yeah,
longer
I'm
than
busy
two show.
today.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I enjoyed this. I'm right on. I don't even know how. I don't think I slept. I started sleeping on a plane. It's not good sleep if
That's
you can't.
terrible.
And I'm bouncing around, so I don't think I had 2 hours sleep. But anyhow, I hope you understood me. The show, and I have a bourbon tasting tonight.
Oh, that'll go well.
Ooh.
Yeah, I gotta go. I gotta be for my bourbon. I gotta go to an event and host a bourbon party.
Yeah, well, I'll go with you. bro.
God.
You need a nap.
Yeah.
You need a nap.
Yeah,
Someone-
sounds
Anyway,
like-
I'll take a little bourbon.
better
I'll
take
be-
a ride home,
I'll be
man.
nap. Yeah, but I just hope I ain't napping on the driving home.
You
Yeah.
better be careful.
Anyhow, Tommy, I can't take enough, my brother.
Thank you
man.
for having
And
me
it's always
on,
Good.
and,
Thank you, man. Good.
boom.
See,
Thanks.
Mike, thank
our
you.
neighborhood we
Thank
did
you.
well. Our neighborhoods.
Oh,
Andrew's
you guys
brothers,
are big
Tommy,
time. You're big shots.
That's and that was only 3 blocks. That's three
you-
streets right next to each other.
Right, and there's Moransky was
Maransky
right
at the
down
bottom,
on
at the bottom of
on
our
Zedeker.
street. You ever Zedeker
Yeah.
Street? Between Detroit, which was
I know
Stoops, and
exactly
Cambridge,
where
which
it
was
is.
mine, right there.
Yeah,
So,
3 streets, man.
Hey,
Yeah.
again, south side of Youngstown, baby. South side. Anyhow, well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this show. If you did, please tweet out or hit us up on the Raise Boom Boom Room page on Facebook. Let us know your thoughts. If you have any subject matter that you'd like to hear, or any comments you want to make at all, please do so on the page. We'd like to hear from you and get your thoughts. I guess until then,
Yeah.
Tommy, thank you. Mike,
You're welcome.
thank you. I'll see you next week. Back next Tuesday at around the same time. If you're live, about 1:30, and if you don't see us live, you'll see us on a variety of channels,
Platforms.
platforms.
You got it.
That's the word. Platforms later on.
I'm learning.
So, until then, take care of each other, love each other. Good night and God bless.